Carmelo Anthony, young kid, I believe out in Texas,
Frisco.
Frisco,
Yeah.
Frisco, Texas to be exact, was getting jumped or I guess being attacked by two white kids.
Mm-hmm.
And in self-defense, he murdered one of them.
Yep.
I'd be a proud dad, man. Stop
Yeah.
fucking playing with me, man. Keep your hands off me, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Keep your hands off me.
Nah,
And
for
then
sure.
it's 2v1. So it's like he really won. And it's really like he had to do what he had to do, you know? Most people or a lot of people might say, you know, he had to kill him, but it's like, nigga, what you gonna do in a situation with two people attacking you, bro?
I had a 2v1 in fifth grade.
You can black out easy and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You just reminded me I had a 2v1.
Good job, kid.
Definitely a good job. One,
Good
he stood up
job.
for himself, defending himself, and he went to the extreme.
For sure.
It just is what it is. I had a 2v1 in fifth grade where these niggas caught themselves trying to jump me. I whooped both of them. Yeah. A lot changed after that, nigga. When I went back to school the next day, a lot changed, boy. 2v1, whooped them. It was after school, walking home. And then it was a black boy, white boy. I ain't even gonna say no names. But however, later on, they caught, you know, truce. They wanted to be cool, whatever. But I could never be good friends with them. Maybe it's because, you know, the fact that it was 2v1. But I guess it's one of those situations where it's like, all right, cool. Because one of them ended up being my high school teammate on the football team. But it was still like, nah, we're not best of buddies. I mean, I'm not mad at it because y'all lost. But it just is what it is. But nah, back to the actual story. What you got on that? What you got about that, Bar?
Shoot, honestly, really like what really transpired for sure. A life is lost for one. Him having a weapon, that's the only thing I feel like he's gonna get a little pushback from, because he was at a track meet. You know, that's kind of like carrying a weapon.
It was a knife? What was it?
What was the weapon?
Yeah,
It was a knife?
it was a knife. He stabbed him to death.
Okay.
So
I mean, certain pocket knives are well, maybe because it's at a school.
at a track
school
meet.
grounds.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
That's
Yeah.
a tough one. So, but I think what makes this case so big is because it plays a race card. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
For sure, because if it was black on black, it probably wouldn't even been a big deal.
So obviously, you know who we rooting for, of course. Like you said, it's a 2v1. So he had to do what he had to do in self-defense. But is the jury gonna see it in that way? You know,
Look,
he is in Texas. Like let's be real, Frisco to be exact.
I think that there's a possibility that he was threatened. So if you get threatened, how do you leave the house?
True.
You know what I'm saying? So you might have received early threats that day, the day before. Oh, we're gonna catch you at the meet. Like
the lawyer.
But
their,
a part
their
of me,
lawyer is saying, my bad.
No, you good.
But
you
good. The lawyer from the defense team saying that they didn't know each other. So that's where I'm trying to figure out what really transpired. If they had no connection prior to the track meet. And that's the only thing that I got a big question mark about, really.
Okay. I mean, a part of me hopes that he wasn't threatened prior, because then if that's the case, they might use that against him and say, why didn't you reach out to the local authorities or the teachers or whatever the case may be. I think it works more in his favor if it was one of those spirit of the moment type of situations.
Yeah, right.
So at that moment, they can only charge him for having that weapon on school grounds as opposed to premeditated murder.
Yeah.
Damn.
Hey, you almost... Well, like you might
right,
still try to solve the case.
Hey, man, you
law,
know.
Law and Order over here, man.
You know what I mean? Law and Order.
What you got you watching Law and Order?
What you got on it, Brief? What you think about it?
I think I'm missing some information, so I don't want to speak too much on it. But I do know it's a double standard in this country. You know, for some reason, we're not allowed to protect ourselves. Black people, we not allowed to stand our ground. It's always a problem when we stand our grounds. So I'm gonna look more into this.
So how do we fix that?
I don't know if it can be fixed, bro. But I don't know if it can be fixed. But I know one thing. I never got jumped before, but if I did, I wish I had a knife. I'm getting busy. I mean, think about it. Somebody can stump you out to death, bro. A guy knock you out, they can stand over you, kick you in your head until you in a coma. So I mean, uh, I don't know the specifics on it, but I know it's very biased because if it was reversed, it'd probably be a war going on right now.
Nah, for sure.
So yeah, I'm gonna leave it like that.
Yeah. But it's scary though, we talking about kids right now. You know? You guys got children. So it's like, what if, not to say, but your kids gonna get older.
Right.
They might come across somebody that's living that type of lifestyle where they wanna bully, things in that nature to make themselves feel good. And your kid has to defend themselves. You gonna like Spider said, you gonna want the same thing. Like the results gonna be the results. I want my kid to protect
Yeah,
themselves.
Yeah, you gotta
What-
teach your kids how to fight too, bro. You
One
gotta
of my elders
get them in
say-
some
Self-defense classes.
self-defense classes, bro.
he always reminds me to say to my kids that the only person that can keep you alive is yourself. You feel me? And so to kind of base your decision making off knowing the fact that if you die, it's not always everybody's fault. You know what I'm saying? But you could save yourself from death, if you got the right tools in a lot of situations. You feel me? I feel like I done ducked death a few times just
Right.
by just being smart.
Yeah.
Not having to, whatever.
That's a fact.
Do you think the world is a safer place for kids nowadays as opposed to how we were growing up, or was it more dangerous in our era? Or
It's more dangerous now, bro.
I think.
Yeah.
That's a good question, because I think it's interesting that there's a lot of gang violence and a lot of violence in general being publicized and broadcasted and turned into music. But I also feel like there's a whole on the other side of that. There's so many more people who are just in the house, on the internet, or streaming, or watching streams, or you know what I'm saying. So I really think media is really the media is what determines how we feel everything is projecting. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I just
Yeah,
feel like
I
media
hear
got
you.
so much control of shit
Yeah.
that it's like, cause now we dealing with, fentanyl and it being in the perks and it being on some of the weed and it being on the woo woo, and they claim it's such a big drug situation going on right now. But it's like at the same time, like I feel like it might have been worse before, and there
Right.
wasn't as much media to cover this shit.
That's how I feel.
You know what I'm saying?
It was worse back then.
Because like
Yeah, that crack
just like
epidemic.
What?
just like violence is being broadcasted and promoted and is all over Instagram and all over the music, you got a whole nother like information on health and how to live a better life or how to structure your life. It's so much information. You know what I'm saying? Like it's really
Yeah.
a lot, and I meet more people who are regular Americans than I meet who are a gangster, or you know what I'm saying, or whatever they might label us to be. I know way more normal people, bro, who just go to work and don't wish harm on nobody, and you know what I'm saying. Like when you think about it, though,
do you think environment has anything to do with that?
I mean, yeah, it does, of course, and I think that camaraderie is addictive. I think that when we come together as groups of men, the ladies call it bromance, but it's like nobody could get us more hyped than ourselves. Even when we compete with each other, when we fight with each other, when we smoke and drink with each other, and we talk shit to each other, it's empowering. And the more people show up as part of that group, the more empowered you feel. The more you feel like you can't be fucked with for real.
It's a
And
fact.
it's a natural feeling. It's a rush.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because all that
Like,
testosterone is
How
being
many
pushed.
people are likely to do something more aggressive when they got 20, 30, 40 people surrounding them that love them and fuck with them? You know what I'm saying? They're more likely to feel macho at any moment. Catch that same person at the corner store. in the chip aisle and see if they got that same energy. You know, it's camaraderie does this shit to us for real. And I think it's something we need to pay attention to because it's not a bad thing. We just need to channel the energy. Feel me?
Yeah, that's a fact. I don't know. I think it's. I think with the youth, I think it's worse than it's ever been. Just looking at the numbers, man, this shit wild out here, bro. They run around with switches. They slapping grandma now.
They're shooting up churches.
They're shooting up churches, funerals. I've never seen this type of warfare going
funerals
on.
used to get shot up back in the days, depending on how the person died, but not to the magnitude of how it is. How it's happening nowadays.
I believe a sad truth we have to realize: once a kid get a certain age, his friends has more influence on him than his parents. That's just a fact.
But it's always been like that.
Exactly.
It's always been like that.
So, in this hip hop gang culture, with the music that influence and put the battery in these kids' back. When I see a kid, I say, "Good day, brother. I'm out the way." I stay out their way, bro. I don't want no problems, man. I hold a dope for them and everything. I don't want no problems.
Yeah,
hip hop has a major influence on
that. A big influence, bro.
And so does just not being able to channel your emotions and being like a lot of us. I mean, I'm not in my 20s anymore or my teens, but it's a lot of emotional trauma involved, and this is a lot of reactive behavior. You feel me?
Yeah.
Like anytime I've ever done anything terrible, it's reactive behavior based off how something made me feel. So
yeah,
I think we definitely gotta like. It's a way to talk to them, like that good day, brother. I don't knock it because I understand it's like they're much more willing to push. To push what's the word I'm looking for? To push forward with action or with unnecessary energy. So I get what you're saying, but with me, just as a comparison, I think there's just a way to talk to them. Like I understand them, you feel me? But it's also because, as you know, because we talk a lot, and when we get in the car, I throw on mad music from niggas you don't even know and shit like that. It's like I'm in the loop, so I get it to the highest extent. Like nobody in here listen to Playboy Cardi or Ken Carson, or you know what I'm saying, like or One Up T or Babyface E, or y'all ain't listening to them. I am. You feel me? And I think that's the way to kind of understand. I'm not justifying it. I'm just saying like I know how to communicate with them, and I feel like that's not.
Yeah. So I don't know if you know I mentor kids, right?
Huh?
You know I mentor kids at North Miami High School.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I'll tell you a little more later about it, but I be around these kids, bro. I see what's really impacting them. Lifestyle, bro. Yeah, lifestyle and gang culture, bro. You got to really put them under your wings if you really want them to go right, bro. They need a real man in their ear, bro.
Yeah, and give them actionable, real steps. Don't say, son, you got to do something better. Nah, bro. Look, I got a few options, bro. You want to get some bread? It's going to take a little bit. You feel me? It might take a few months to get this certification. It might take a year to get your clients up. It might take 4 months to get your credit score up. But the LLC 125, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And
and that's some good
But
game.
You just give them actionable steps because it's like, bro, all right, I get it, bro. You want the chain. You could get that chain on credit. You ain't gotta go and do some shit stupid to get the chain. You get the chain on credit and pay on that bitch every month. And go to work or build your business. Yeah. Like if you want it that bad, you're young. You can do it.
I think this goes back to what we had discussed a while back on the pod. That they should start or should bring back trades into the schools.
Yeah,
because when you're trying to tell a kid you gotta graduate high school, 4 years of college, potentially if you're going for your bachelor's or master, not bachelor, I'm sorry, your master's or your PhD. Now that's more schooling. School's not for everyone. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So now if you bring back these trades, now you can fast track whatever it is that he wants in life. Because let's be honest, the people who have the trades throughout society are really the ones that are winning. Because you're able to act on it and move and begin working in that space much sooner than someone who becomes a doctor, a lawyer, engineer. And on top of that, you avoided the whole student loan aspect of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now when you
Exactly.
do get in these careers or professions, yeah, you're bringing in 150, 200, but now you have 400,000, $500,000, $1 million worth of student loans. So by the time you really, really finish paying that off, did you really have a better lifestyle? Or did you live a better life than the individual who went and got a trade right out of high school, who's bringing in 150, 200 out the gate? That's probably a plumber. That's probably an electrician. That's probably a master barber, whatever the case may be. Because once you're licensed, you become professional in that space, sky's the limit.
Yeah,
Like I was reading something where it's saying like there's a shortage of over 500,000. I think you sent that to me.
Plumbers and electricians.
Plumbers and electrician that's needed. Like you get into that space, you can damn near dictate the market because it's such at a high demand that you can set your rates and there's no real competition because you're one of the few.
Yeah. There's some change.
And you can live that lifestyle, go get that chain, go get that
But
whip, go get that
also,
crib and do all of that without having to go to the traditional route of 4 to 8, potentially 12 years of education or school.
Yeah, no, that's facts.
But
And
it takes work, and these
think-
kids don't like to work. That's the thing.
I don't think they don't like to work. I think they just haven't been guided or had that arm wrapped around them, not to baby them. You don't baby them because that's gonna hinder them and make it worse.
Now, though.
But if you actually guide them, and like Spider said, and not just say, go to school, go do this, and actually guide them, like, look, what do you ultimately want out of life right now, although you're young? They're like, okay, I want to have a nice house, nice car, kids, no kids, whatever the case may be. You tell them, okay, look, here are some of the steps that you could take to get there. Now I'm gonna present you 2 to 3 options. Which one you feel like best suits you?
But
you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If they want to go to school the traditional route, no problem.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
You get what I'm saying? If you want to go career route, no problem.
That's what I'm saying. But majority of them now, it's really hard for them to focus.
It's hard to focus because
it's really, like you said, like the environment, like the people, they peers. You gotta understand that they really are influenced by their peers.
Yeah, for sure. And
way
of course,
different than how we was. We was like, we had our own identity. Even though I can hang with you, I'm still gonna be Barry. You get what I'm saying? I'm briefcase. You still gonna be briefcase.
But it was easier for us though because we didn't have access to all this information, access to just like think about it back then, right? A lot of stuff when we were growing up was regional. So it was marginalized, like even down to fashion. We could spot someone else from out of town just by the way they dressed. Now with social media and access to so much information or to the world, everything is connected. People don't even know where you're from based on your appearance anymore because we're all pretty much connected, intertwined. So you got to, at the same time, it's the information and the access to so much different resources is also what's causing that as well.
But is that going to stop?
I mean, I don't think it's going to stop, but it goes back to
that's
what
I'm saying. The kids going to be who they are now.
Not necessarily. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say they're going to be who they are.
I'm going to take you to come talk to some of these kids and you talk.
I'm not saying you can save all.
I'm telling you, you might be lucky to get like not even one kid. That's what I'm trying to say. Like if you could get a group of 20 kids, I'm telling you, the way it is now, listening is not a skill no more for these kids. I was just telling you about that when it came to football, something that they love. They talk about it all day, but that doesn't mean that they are willing to learn the game
and do what it takes.
Do what it really takes. They want everything that comes after working. They don't know the true, I would say, passion, dedication, what it took. Like
that's why only a few make it, bro.
You know what I'm saying? Like just think about what, like we were just talking about earlier with the kid, with the mental health situation.
Yeah.
You guys think about why that kid did what he did.
I think in his situation, and his name is Kyron Lacey, right?
Yeah, Kyron Lacey.
Rest in peace to Kyron Lacey.
What happened? I don't
he
know.
took his life because
the football player.
Yeah, the football player. He took his life because he had a court hearing that was coming up because he had reckless endangerment driving.
Yeah,
He took somebody else's life.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, he caused an accident.
And they're saying, of course, he don't want to deal with the consequences and repercussion that's coming from that. But that's almost like an anomaly because he actually was battling something where he took someone else's life. So it can be what they're saying, and it can also be the fact that he can't live with himself, being that he took someone's life without actually having any personal issues with them. Like it wasn't planned, it wasn't premeditated. It was a spirit of moment, And he probably was like, damn, how am I gonna be able to live with myself if I just took someone's life? Then I gotta still face trial, all this stuff that's coming along with it. So it could be a lot more that's going on with that, just based off as far as his psyche. But however, I think it all goes back to, just go back to what we were discussing. I think it all goes back to exposure. This is where I guess the social media, this is the curse side to it, because it could be a gift and a curse depending on what you use it for. Where all that exposure, then the kids are just able to see like the highlights. Think about it. Everything that you see on social media is all highlights. There's no low lights. People don't even show you their process, grinding, growing, getting to where they got to. They just show you, I'm here. You get what I'm saying? So I think that has a lot to do with it too, because the grind, the process of them actually getting there was never exposed. So they're just thinking like, shit, fuck it, I'm just wake up one day and be there too. But that's not reality. That's not how it goes. You got to put that work in. You got to grind. But it still goes back to mentoring, leadership, having the right male figure in these kids' life early on. You got to catch it as early as possible.